Hello, I'm going to do a video post for the last discussion post, um, and I'll jump right into it. It's starting with chapter 6 of the literacy of the 21st century. It started off by speaking about high frequency words and speaking of the words that the student should know and going through all lists of different sorts of high frequency words. The thing that really stuck out to me personally was the reading fluency. When you think of reading and fluent reading, I think that I don't really break it down into the different dimensions as if the chapter did, and it talk about uh, like automaticity and speed and proximity and how they really all correlate to make a fluent reader. When I thought of reading fluently before, I would think of it just as like, like how quickly do you read, and then like can you comprehend it, was the next step. But with the fluency of it, so the automaticity, and that's just reading without conscious thought. So like those are the things that you come quickly, you're thinking about it, you read it, you got it, you're not really thinking too much into it. Um, and then it also speaks about on the speed of it. Speed meaning like 100 words per minute. You're able to read those 100 words in a minute. No real uh, thought to it. Some words you might struggle on, but it's more along the lines of like hardcore speed. How fast can you read these words? And then proximity beating, like reading with some sort of expression. Like, are you reading monotone, or are you reading like what's going on? And that shows a higher level. And so, like, that really stuck out to me. And in my classroom, when I speak about fluency, I usually speak on just I speak on the speed usually, like how quickly are you reading these words, but this made me think differently about that. And just like going through that really stuck out to me, and like an error of my mind thought. And it's something that I've learned. And what I can do with that is really start to take note on what areas of fluency my students are struggling on. Now that I'm aware that there are different levels of fluency or different areas of being a fluent reader, I can then focus on how can I help them. But before, I didn't even know. I was just like, oh, can you read this that fast or can't you? Yeah, but there are different levels of that. Um, and then in the videos was the first buddy reading book. I started with the first one, and they had some cool strategies. They were talking about like it shows the kids sitting hip to hip while reading. I'm in fifth grade currently, so I want to be able to do hip to hip. But the idea of sitting next to them and like having you got reading with another student that is next to you, that is an idea that I can do. In fifth grade, we get a little we start to go through and understand that like personal space and different things along those lines. So I wouldn't necessarily do hip to hip, but I would say you should sit next to your partner. And then they turned to talk about it, and they did knee to knee. And that's when they were talking. Yet again, I wouldn't do actual knee to knee, but they would be facing each other. And that was a cool little strategy, where they were able to talk about the book that they just read. And it works on all those little things. And I'm in special education, so it would help them to like sort of get, when you're speaking with someone, your eye contact and all those different things, all that come in through just conversation. And then the second buddy reading video, she showed like a pre-reading on the rug, and she brought out a book, and the kids are like, oh, we know this book. And then it looks to the but she's like, yeah, but we're not reading this book, we're actually reading the other book, which was the next in the series. It brought into some new vocabulary, drew connections with the students. It was done masterfully. And she starts in like talking about, what do you notice? That question is huge. Like, what do you notice in this? It makes the people start the students start to think at a higher level, like, oh, what do I notice in this? And then I also wanted to note that like the teacher had like immense patience, and she didn't really lose her cool. She was going through it. Some of the students were exhibiting some behaviors, but she didn't go off the rails. and they went through and they talked about the book successfully. The next thing that I noticed, the next video was the Look, Think, Pass. I chose to speak about this video due to the fact of there was another thing that I didn't think about. I usually do picture walks, but I do picture walks with one book. Um, this teacher had the students in a in a circle where, and the point of that was so that she could see everyone, everyone could see each other. And then they had multiple books that they would look about on it, go through their own little picture walk, and then pass it on. And that was amazing to me because students could really look through and see the book before they had it, and they had those options of going to different books. So I think that that was another strategy that I can put into my classroom due to the fact that my students, they do enjoy reading to some extent, but a lot of times they take the first book and don't even look at another one. And with this strategy, they're seeing multiple books and they can see and they can think about it and look and see different pages. Through the expert posts, I also noticed they were talking about the correlation between like oral reading fluency and the ability to read and write effortlessly. And it breaks down also the different levels of the speed, proximity, and how we are reading fluently. Um, and in there, they gave the strategy that you can go through and help students with a positive effect of their reading fluency by building a sense of community. And all of these strategies that I talked about previously in the video build that community and build those things that will help students with their reading fluency. So, yeah, that's what I learned. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great week.